Welcome to the tutorial on the C programming language. This is our 18th lecture in which we will discuss about the input and output operation. That means to print some message on your output device, that is your screen, and to get some data from the user as an input from the keyword. So within a C language there is no a predefined or built-in statement for a input and output. So for this thing you have to use the inbuilt functions for the input and output data. So outline of our lecture: first we will see about the input and output functions, then in detail we will see the printf functions as a output function and scanf function as a input functions. So input and output functions. C programming has a several built-in library function to perform an input and output task, so that there are no built-in statement for reading or printing a data. So instead of this we have to use the inbuilt functions. Two commonly IO functions, that is known as the printf and scanf. Printf is the output function and scanf is used for input functions. So these two are inbuilt library functions in a C programming language which are available in a C library by default. That is the built-in. That means the definition of this function is already defined in a C library. So these functions are declared and related macros are defined within this stdio.h header file. So to use this function you must have to include this header file within your program. So let's see how this thing will be possible. So first we will see the printing a data on a screen, that is not using a printf function. So in a C programming language, printf function is used to print a character, string, float, integer, octal, hexadecimal value as a output. We will use the printf functions with the %d format specifier for display a integer value. For an integer we will use the %d. For a character we will use a %c. For a float we will use %f. For a string we will use %s, and for a long we will use %lf, %x for a hexadecimal. So these all are known as the format specifier. It will print the value of that related data type. And for a new line you have to use /n, so your next data will be printed on a new line. So this is all about the printf function. So let's take one example that will print a simple C programming message on your output screen. So as we know that printf, we will use the printf functions, that is the input functions, and this function is defined using this library stdio.h. So to use these printf functions you must have to include this header file. So your first statement of your program to include this header file that will link your printf functions. And as we know that the execution of our program always start with the main function, so within a main function we are writing a printf statement. What this statement will do, whatever you are writing within a printf statement within this double quote, it will be displayed as an output on your screen. See how it is possible. So output over this program, using on your screen you will get this output as whatever written using a printf function. So let's take another example. Suppose you want one integer number as an output. So first we will declare one integer variable, and we are also assigning some value to that variable. This is the combination of a declaration and assigning a value to the variable. So what it will do, it will allocate a 2 byte within a memory and give a name as a test integer, and assigning a value 5 to that variable. Now you want to read this variable and we want to print this value on a screen. So for an integer you have to use the %d format specifier. So here I am writing number is equal to %d, and whatever you want to print the value of that variable that you have to mention over here. So this is a name of a variable. So what we percentage d will do, it will print the value of this variable that is assigned to that variable instead of the name of the variable. So instead of printing test integer, what it will do, it will read the value of this variable that is 5 and it will be displayed as a number. So what is the output of our program? You will get the output like this: number is equal to 5. So instead of percentage d, it will print the value of that variable that is a 5. So next, this all about giving a output as a screen. Now we will see how you can read a data from the user. Now in a previous example we are writing a is equal to 5, but instead of writing a is equal to 5, I will get this value 5 from the user. So how you can read this data? That is using a scanf functions. So that is giving a value to the variable is to input a data through a keyboard using a scanf functions. So instead of writing a is equal to 5, what you will do, you will read the value of a from the user using a keyboard. This is possible using a input function that is known as the scanf. So this is the syntax of the scanf functions. Control string is nothing but the access specifier. It will give a type of the data type that we had discussed: percentage d for an integer, percentage f for a float, and etc. So within a double quote you have to write this control string or format specifier, and then comma, and then you have to give ampersand variable list. Suppose you want to read the value of a from the user, so you can write like this: scanf percentage d and the address of a. So after executing this statement, you can enter one integer value that will be stored at the location of a. So the control string contains the format of the data being received, which type of the data you have to receive. Suppose you want integer data, you want a float data, you want a character, etc. Ampersand symbol before each variable name is an operator that specify a variable name's address. What will this thing do? It will fetch the address where you want to store a data that you are giving. So here I am reading one number as an integer variable. So when this statement is encountered by a computer, the execution stop and wait for a value of the variable number to be typed in. Percentage d specify that the integer value can be read from the terminal. So this is all about reading a data from the user using a scanf functions. Let's take one example. Suppose you want to read one integer value from the user. We are declaring one integer variable, right? Then we are printing one message: enter an integer. So in a terminal you will get the message like enter an integer. In your cursor will be like this. Now you want to read this data from the user, so you have to use the scanf function. So your cursor will wait until you will give some integer number and then press enter. So what will happen, within a location of a it will store a 5, whatever you are giving as an input. Now you just want to print this number using a printf statement, so it will print the value of a that is given by a user as a output. So this is your input functions, this is your output function, this is your input function, again this is your output function. So what is the output of our program? You will get this type of the output. It will first execute this statement and it will print a message like a integer number, and your cursor will wait until you will enter one integer number. Suppose you are giving 4 and then press enter. So this 4 will be read by this statement, and next it will again print your number, and this will be your output of that statement. So this is about reading one integer number from the user and displaying this integer number to the screen. So next, let's take another example, how you can read a float value and how you can display a float value. So to store a float value, you need one float variable. So we have declared one float variable as a f. Right, then again I am writing a enter a number. So your cursor will wait until you will enter one float number. Okay, now to read a float value, you need a percentage f access specifier. So within a scanf, I am writing percentage f n, address of your variable f. So suppose you are giving 1.2. So what it will do, at the address of f, it will store a 1.2. So printf, again you will printing the whatever value you are reading using percentage f, it will display a result. See how, what is the output of this program. See, first enter a number. So suppose you are entering this number, this is a float number that is scanned by a percentage f, and whatever you have entered as a number, it will be displayed as a output using a percentage f format specifier that is stand for a float number. So next, how you can read one character from the user. So to store a character, you need a character data type. If you are enter a character percentage C to read a character from the keyboard. So suppose I am entering A as a character, that will be read by a percentage C scanf functions, and I am printing this character using a percentage C format specifier. See what is the output of this program. So again, enter a character, this message will be displayed and your cursor will wait until you enter a character. Suppose I am entering a G as a character, that will be read by using this statement. And now you want to print whatever you are entering, that will be printf over here by executing this statement. So here we will discuss how to read a float, integer and character value from the user. So next we will discuss about the ASCII code. So each and every character that is defined within a keyboard have some specific standard code that is known as the ASCII code. So suppose consider this example, I have declared one data type as a character and I am reading one character from the user. Suppose I am reading this character using percentage C. So whatever you are entering is display it as a character. Suppose you are entering A, so A will be display using percentage C. But if you will display this A using a percentage D, instead of printing A, it will print its ASCII value, that is the 65. So percentage C text format is used to display a character, but percentage D is used to display integer value of that character, that is the ASCII value of that character. So see what is the output of this program. Here I am giving one character, so enter a character. Suppose I am giving a G as a character. So if you are printing this G using a percentage C, then it will print that character. But if you print this G using a percentage D, it will print the ASCII value of that character. So after executing this statement, you will get the ASCII value of G. Percentage C will print the character, percentage D will print the ASCII value of that character. So here we had discussed the ASCII value of the character data type. So within this lecture, we had seen how you can read a value from the user and how you can display a value as an output using a printf and scanf functions. Thank you.